on there.
Changes to agenda and approval of agenda. Do the minutes and then just move the action items, item 5, and then 6, public input before reports.
Okay, so this becomes 4, 5, and then this becomes 6. Okay, the meeting is now called to order, 9:03 a.m. There was concern, 9:04 a.m. There was a concern as to pre-meeting, as to how we proceed on the agenda, given that there's a potential for a loss of quorum. We have a quorum at this point, but at 10 a.m., Mr. Dollahan will have to bow out, and we will not have a quorum unless other members of the board show up. The meeting is being called to order. The changes to the agenda are...
Wait. I need to make the formal determination of quorum by calling the roll.
Oh, perdón.
Yeah.
Mr. Dollahan, thank you.
David Dollahan is present. Commissioner Manny Sanchez.
Present.
Councilor Tessa Beta-Stubbe.
Here.
City Councilor and Board Chair Yvonne Flores.
Here.
We have quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Dollahan. So there are changes to the agenda as follows. After the minutes, we will move item 5. The minutes is item 3. Item 5 action items will be moved up to item 4. Item 5 then becomes public input, and then item 6 becomes reports and presentations.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yeah.
I was going to call the roll, but again, because Councilor Cassandra Gondara has joined us, so we have full quorum.
Okay, so for the record, we do have full quorum. So should we proceed with the changes in the agenda as discussed, or should we leave it as set forth originally? Is there any input on that?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
I would just consider just moving forward as with the amended agenda, just so that if for any reason we have any technical difficulties and any one of us that are currently on, here have any issues, we can get that over with. Okay.
So, Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, we discussed the moving of under item 2, changes to the agenda. Changes are just the order, not the content. So it'll be as follows, for your information.
I
don't. Did you hear that part?
I did. Thank you so much. I apologize for being late. But yes, I heard the change.
Okay, great. So,
Madam Chair,
yes.
If you're ready to call for a motion and a second to those changes, then I'll call the roll.
Yes, that's exactly. Thank you, Mr. Dollahan. Do I have a motion for the approval of the changes to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sanchez, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilor Gondara, a second from Commissioner Sanchez. I'll call the roll. Board Member Beta-Stubbe?
Yes.
Board Member Gondara?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Chair Flores?
Yes.
Your motion carries 4-0.
Okay. So I need, has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes that were sent by Bernice Navarro?
Yes.
Great. Is there a motion to approve?
This is Commissioner Sanchez. I move to approve the minutes from the ASCMV board meeting on June 25th of 2020.
Thank you.
Second by Beta-Stubbe.
Thank you, Commissioner and councilors.
Calling the roll on the approval of the June 25th ASCMV board meeting minutes. Board Member Abeta Stuve,
Yes.
Board Member Gondara,
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Flores.
Yes,
Your meeting minutes are approved.
thank you. So moving on to item 4 is the action item, the resolution 2020-16, amend the adopted FY fiscal year 21 budget, allowing a carryover for funds 7440 and 7441. Who's presenting on this?
Clint should be,
Do you need a motion to approve or do we do that?
we can.
Well, after discussion?
We can move to approve it now and then have discussion.
Clint's presentation will be the discussion.
Yes.
So is there a motion?
So moved, Gandara.
Commissioner Sanchez says second.
Thank you. So discussion on this presentation, Mr. Thacker?
Thank you. I don't have a presentation for it. It's a simple explanation of this is a collection of items that need to be carried over from 2020 into this next budget year because they're going to be funded for this year as well. Items such as grants and some expense items and so forth. It's basic housekeeping duties for the fiscal year, the new fiscal year starting.
Well, even so, Mr. Thacker, are you referring to the memorandum dated July 23, 2020? Which is the attached unaudited financial report? Is that it?
No, I don't do the audited financials, no. I'm sorry, I don't have the information in front of me. I'm not at work, I'm at home.
That's okay.
Let me scroll down, Madam Chair, and let me share the packet. I'll share my screen.
Okay. Yeah, it's the resolution 2020-16. We have to vote on it. So we should know what we're voting on.
Right. It's taking me a second to get there.
Okay.
So let me scroll through and then I will share my screen.
Mr. Thacker or Mr. Dollahan, is that preceded by the charts that show where the money went and where the money is going? Or where the money is going, and therefore we have the carryover? Because we have all that, and then we have the resolution. I just want to make sure that I look at the right stuff.
I have no idea what they've done to you.
That's crazy.
Well, at least I've got the.
David, this is Leanne, you're muted.
Sorry, I had problem. This is David Dollahan. Madam Chair, can you see my screen?
I can see the resolution, yes.
Okay, so before you is the resolution 20-116. Can everybody mute themselves other than me for the time being? All right, thanks. I was getting a bunch of feedback. Before you is a resolution to carry over $45,646 for both revenues and expenditures from FY20 to the operating fund and the capital fund, Fund 7441, into fiscal year 2021. We're requesting to carry over grant balances in the operating fund 7440 in the amount of $44,000 for both revenue and an expenditures account. And then lastly, the ASCM is requesting to carry over funds in the amount of $1,646 for the cat room renovations that were ordered in FY20 but will not be received until FY21. So we need to carry that money forward. That's reflected in the Exhibit A, and I'll scroll down to Exhibit A. 7441 is the capital fund. That's we're amending the budget to bring forward 1646 to be able to be spent this year. And then Exhibit A on the second page is Fund 7440. And then these are all grant expenditures. We're increasing the revenue by the $44,000 of the grant amount, and then $44,000 worth of expenditures on grant authorizations. I'm assuming on the grants that we were dealing with planning to have them spent, and they didn't happen, so they need to be carried forward to this year. With that, I'll stand for any questions, but those really need to be directed toward Mr. Thacker.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David, very much for doing that. Appreciate it.
I was muted. I'm sorry. Thank you, David. Thank you, David. And Mr. Thacker, insofar as reference was made to monies carried over, the kitten money, and Mr. Dollahan said, I assume. Did he assume correctly?
So you say kitten money, what is that in regards to?
Well, what line was that, Mr. Dollahan?
I shared it on the screen. It's the 1,646.
Okay.
All right, so that are shelves that we ordered in last fiscal year, and we need that money, and it hasn't been delivered yet. We just heard from the manufacturer there's been a delay in their manufacturing, and we'll get it on August 15th is the new shipping date for that. So we need that money to carry over because we're receiving it in the new fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Thacker. And is there any other, are there any other questions from the board regarding any item that any item on the original budget and the amount that would go to the amended budget?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Madam. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. We're getting some feedback again. Can you, those of you not speaking, mute yourselves? Thank you. You know, it's early in the morning for a tongue lashing. I'll try to be as kind as I can. I'm seeing some disconnect between our finance department, budget people, and our executive director. I have felt this way the last couple of times. Not sure what that's about, but there needs to be better coordination in terms of who's going to be presenting, whose responsibility and role that is. I'd like to see more of that coordination. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's concerning to me as it relates to the financing. Clint, I don't know if it's administration on your side that needs to take the lead or whatnot, but I'd like to see more of that.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, Councilor Ganda, this is my fault. I assumed something else a presentation was going to be done, and this was supposed to be done by me. So I take full responsibility. We've been working very closely with the budget department. They have been fabulous to work with. Leanne and Liam have both worked with us. We got the information together. They actually helped us very, very much with getting this resolution together. So the tongue lashing needs to be pointed at me, not at them. And I apologize.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I want us to be, more responsible and organized. And I want to be clear and feel comfortable and that we know what we're doing from the Animal Services Center position. And the other thing is, the second question is around the grants. Now, can you be more specific about that $40,000+, where it's coming from, what happened specifically, and where we need to be, or where are we in terms of that particular grant funding?
I can give, yeah, information that I have. So David, if you could you scroll up or down to the grants? So the grants was a mixture of several we received in the wake of COVID. We received money from Maddie's fund to fund some of our foster program. We received money from a foundation from California that didn't have anything tied to it. It just said, basically, here's some money. There's no limitations on spending. And then we received some money from Best Friends Animal Society as well to help save lives with cats. And the reason why these need to be carried over is because, one, our fiscal year is different than theirs, and so they awarded us the money, and we need to have the money carry over into the next year. We have limitations on the length of time to spend it. It's a year from when we receive the grants. So, like I said, it's a housekeeping thing of needing to carry the grants over so we have the money in this fiscal year to do so.
So Clint, if I may, Madam Chair, on that middle one that you spoke of that has a little more flexibility, do you know what you're going to be using it for? And especially during COVID, how are we? I'm assuming we have the work is there, right? But what sort of plans do you have to fulfilling the grant obligation?
Most of our funds is going to be going to our medical program.
Okay.
So we need to get caught up with our surgeries. Both our foster to adopts, so people who have adopted animals that are not sterilized, and people also in our foster program who have animals that are not sterilized. So all of those funds need to be focused to those and getting them done as soon as possible. We also have medical expenses that we can purchase. We have an autoclave that we can replace. I mean, there's plenty of things there that we can spend the money on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thacker. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Dallahan, would you please call the question?
This is on resolution 2020-16. Councilor, Board Member Gondra,
Yes.
Board Member Abeta Stuve,
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Flores,
Yes.
and your motion carries on resolution 2020-16. And Madam Chair, I will point out that I had admitted at a few minutes ago during the discussion Nelson Gooden from the County Attorney's Office, and I don't know if he's representing Janine Quintero today.
You don't know?
Yes, ma'am, I don't know. He may want to speak for himself.
Yes. Mr. Gooding? Mr. Gooding?
It looks like it's Ms. Quintero there.
Oh, okay.
Quintero, we had to use Nelson's ID because mine would not work this morning and I was having trouble logging in. So even though it's his name, it's me.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, members of the board, I will update the name on the list so it appears as Janine Quintero. All right?
Okay, great.
That's done.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dallahan. And okay, so we're done with, that was item 5. So we are moving on to that was item 4. And we'll move on to item 5, which is public input. Correct? Did I get that correct? Yes. So we're going to have public input, and I believe Mr. Thacker said that he had 3 emails or letters to read on behalf of the public. Am I correct, Mr. Thacker?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. First email received says, "Good afternoon. My name is Emmeline Stanford, and I have been volunteering at the ASCMV dog walking and tending adoption events to provide care for house.
Clint, Mr. Thacker?
Yes, ma'am.
You're breaking up. I don't know if it's just my reception. Is anybody else experiencing a crackling in his presentation?
No, I hear the breaking up as well.
All right, one moment. Let me put a headset on. Is that any better?
I can't hear you at all. I just heard something and then you went off. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on.
Okay.
I can hear you, but I can't see you, Madam Chair.
Oh. There. Just
Is that any
made your
better?
day, right?
Oh, there, and I can't see Clint.
Oh. What?
All right, can you hear me now? Is that any better?
Yes,
Yes, Clint, it is.
it's a lot better. Thank you, Clint.
All right, let's see what I can do here. Good afternoon. My name is Emmeline Stanford, and I have been volunteering at the ASCMV dog walking, attending adoption care for cats. First, I'd like to sincere thanks to the opportunity to provide feedback. I also am very grateful for the workers at ASCMV who continue to put their time and energy into providing care for those animals who desperately need it, particularly in light of the and very communicative and open and helpful. I would also like to thank you for allowing us to visit the shelter on a weekly basis to provide exercise for the shelter dogs, despite the quarantine status imposed on the city.
Clint, I'm going to offer a suggestion. You can't be moving. If you're moving at all, I think that's when you cut out. Just
No, I'm not. I'm sitting down, not moving at all.
Wow. Well, you
Is this
keep,
still really
it keeps
crackly?
breaking up, crackling. It's like a crackling sound. So, wonder what it could be.
If you'd like to, I can share my screen and you can, somebody else may read them, or you can read them your own.
Well, whatever you're doing right then when you made that statement, that was perfect. So just stay that way and just move your lips because that was perfect.
All right. Recently, I've noticed a high number of dogs who appear to be injured as a result of dog fighting, bleeding, puncture wounds, limping, etc. And I'd like to know what the typical procedure is for a volunteer who witnesses such injuries and is concerned about them. I have been told to alert kennel staff, but there is nothing further I can do to help. Well, is there anything further I can do to help? Should we tell the nearest staff members, such as kennel maintenance staff, the office staff, or report directly to the ASCMV director? In some cases, I have seen dogs fighting injured in their kennel mates, and it appears they are still housed with other dogs despite these incidents. I would like to keep these injured animals as much as I can. I'd like to help these injured animals as much as I can, and so would like to know how volunteers can better communicate these concerns to the shelter. I know our volunteer coordinator has invited us to write comments in a dog walking log of sorts. Would this be an appropriate place to write comments regarding a dog's health of injury status? For my part, I will definitely take further advantage of this dog log in future walking sessions and make comments about behaviors, personalities. I think it's an excellent idea and hope that this helps kennel staff and potential adopters to build a more accurate profile of adoptable dogs. Are you still hearing me okay?
Yes, perfect.
On a few occasions, I have walked large breed dogs and videotaped or photographed them for network purposes and have been informed that after the fact that the dog in question has a history of aggression towards humans or other dogs. I understand it is probably difficult, very difficult, to obtain an accurate history of dogs who wind up at the shelter. But is there any way this information could be made readily available to volunteers and potential adopters? Some volunteers have suggested color coding on kennel cards, information to indicate behavior types. And I think that is something of the sort that would be very helpful to anyone working to handle shelter animals, particularly the large breeds. If the dog has a bite history or a history of aggressive behavior, myself and other volunteers would appreciate a clear indication of that fact on the dog's kennel card. I would also like to know if there is any way we can help to network and promote adoptable animals in lieu of the adoption events in which we're being helped prior to the quarantine restrictions. Is there any way to schedule volunteers for photography sessions, or is there any other way we can hold promotional events which abide by the current restrictions? I believe these events were instrumental in bringing potential adopters and raising awareness in our community about the need for fostering, donating, volunteering animals, desperate animals. I'm also very grateful to all staff members who organized and participated in these events prior to the restrictions and invited volunteers such as myself to participate. I would very much like to help improve the lives of shelter animals and would appreciate any additional information or feedback as to how we volunteers can communicate better with staff and more effectively work towards that common goal. I hope that efforts myself and other volunteers have made so far helped in some way to improve the quality of life for animals at the ASCMV. Lastly, I hope everyone is staying well and safe in these stressful and dangerous times.
Mr. Thacker?
Yes, ma'am.
So this letter seems like it's really direct. It's something that is under your jurisdiction. It seems like a lot of these are communication questions and lines of authority and direction. So I think that's something for you to address. And I would also, I think that her letter shows a lot of compassion. This is Miss Stanford, correct, Emmeline?
Yes, ma'am.
Shows a lot of compassion, a lot of devotion to the work she's doing there at the shelter as a volunteer. I think volunteers are invaluable, and you know, we did have a report. I guess it was about several months ago, about certain behavior there with some aggressive dogs, and so I would suggest or direct you to. I think you should look into that. Has this problem, this situation, arisen before? Because it sounds like
we always have issues with animals and dogs being kenneled together. There's several reasons for them to fight with one another, whether it be at food time or maybe a resource has been placed in there, like, you know, like a Kong or something. Also just a status of dominancy. So we always have issues with dog fighting. There's some things that we have done to mitigate that, playing music in the kennels, only having 2 dogs in a kennel, separating during feeding. But every shelter I've ever been to, we've had these issues of dogs fighting. What worries me is that she's seeing, when the dogs fight, she's seeing the same dogs still together. And we do have some options of separating those dogs or putting them in different places, at least for feeding, and putting them back. So those are things that we will look into.
Thank you, Mr. Thacker, and thank you, Emmeline Stanford. Thank you for your, I don't know if she's listening or she's whatever, but or watching, but thank you very much for your work.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
sorry, I'm going to offer one thing for the record. I had admitted Commissioner Lynn Ellens to the meeting at 9:26 a.m.
Okay, can you read the entire list of attendees at this point also?
Yes, ma'am. The board members present are Commissioner Lynn Ellens, City Councilor Tessa Beta-Stubbe, City Councilor Cassandra Gondra, County Commissioner Manny Sanchez, and you, Chair, City Councilor Yvonne Flores.
And
your ex officio members are Jeannie Quintero and myself, David Dahlon, from the county and the city, respectively.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dallahan. And welcome, Mr. Ellens. Okay, so does anyone else have any questions pertaining to Ms. Stanford's letter?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilor Abetis.
Thank you. Clint, when dogs have a history of the bite behavior or a volunteer sees something, are they labeled? Is there any sort of labeling on the dog so that the volunteers are aware of the situation? And do our volunteers get training on what to do should they get bit? And then any sort of follow-up that is necessary?
It's a great question. So recently we did change our kennel card that will show that they do have a bite history. So prior to that, it's kind of word of mouth. Just because the dog has a bite history doesn't.
Clint, you're breaking up again. Did you move? I told you not to move.
No, I haven't moved 1 inch, I promise.
Stop breathing then. You're doing something.
Where did I get at that I need to start over?
You know what? Just start from the beginning. I'm sorry.
That's all
Yes,
right.
from the very beginning. Thank you. Thank you, Counselor.
So several weeks ago, we received this complaint, this feedback from other volunteers, and so we were able to change our kennel card that will show that it does have some bite or bite history. However, just because a bite or a dog bites doesn't mean it's going to exhibit that behavior at the kennel. So, because we've told volunteers if they're aggressive, do not, or if they're aggressive in the kennel, don't walk them. So we did see the need to post that or post some history on that. And some dogs are just fine until you get them out and then they become aggressive. So yes, they do receive training. In order to take a large breed dog out for walking, they need to attend a large breed dog walking course or training. And that's done by a professional dog trainer. And they know to report any bites or issues, scratches, that type of thing, to a member of the ASCMV, and they are directed to a supervisor where we fill out paperwork and get them to the hospital or doctor the wounds the best we can according to what they desire.
And then after that time, is that animal or additional notes made on that animal that they have been aggressive at the shelter itself?
Yes, it's placed in the memos of the card of the dog.
I will say I do appreciate the idea of having some sort of color code system. That way it's very clearly recognizable for the volunteers. If an animal has been shown to be exhibit those aggressive behaviors while at the shelter or been in a concern for the volunteers. I do think that seems like a very reasonable suggestion. And thank you, Madam Chair. Those are all of my questions for now.
And thank
we
you.
did try to do the color coding in years past, but the dogs move around so much and the kennel cards have to be reprinted and with the correct kennel number on them. That we found it very difficult for the staff, and also misinformation sometimes got done where if they printed on different colored paper or they use a highlighter system, the highlighters were lost, wasn't working, and so staff wouldn't do the highlighting. So we found that if we could label or just have it on the kennel card, some type of history printed out, was much more effective for us to go that route. But we'll re-look into it, see what we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Thacker. Any other questions on this letter? If not, proceed to the next letter, Mr. Thacker. You said you had 3, correct?
Yes, Madam Chair. The next one is from Star Schneider. She says, Mr. Clint Thacker, please address my questions at the upcoming July 23rd, 2020 ASCMV board meeting. My question pertains to the $10,000 Maddie's Fund grant received by ASCMV earmarked for foster animals. You mentioned this at the June 25th, 2020 ASCMV board meeting, and on the ASCMV current policy statement released on June 26, 2020, you indicate the ASCMV is reaching out to local vets, and the plan is to send a list of participating vets to the fosters. The foster can then contact a vet on the list to make a sterilization appointment. The foster takes the animal to the vet and picks the animal up. The vet will then send an invoice to ASCMV, and the invoice will be paid out of the grant. My questions: 1, when will this start, and when will the list of vets be sent to fosters? 2, what is the protocol? Does the foster need to contact the ASCMV foster coordinator to tell him or her which animal is going to the vet? For foster with more than one animal, is there a maximum number of animals that the foster can take to the vet? 3, are the vets sterilizing the animal at a discounted rate? The 10,000 grant divided by, say, 150 charge per animal will only sterilize 67 animals. How is this going to be divided up between the fosters? I look forward to hearing your responses at the board meeting. Thank you sincerely, Foster Snyder. Madam Chair, if you want me to address the questions, I'm more than willing to at this time.
Yes, thank you so much. Proceed.
Question number 1, when will this start and when will this be sent to the fosters? We currently have only one veterinarian that responded to my plea of joining this program. I sent the information to the veterinarians in the area. And like I said, only one responded. I don't want to say which one that is at this time because we are negotiating amounts and I don't want them bombarded with questions because the office staff probably doesn't even know that me and the head veterinarian who owns the practice is talking. So that it was a concern that only one area veterinarian responded, but that's one more than we had before. 2, what is the protocol? Does the foster need to contact the ASCMV foster coordinator to tell him or her which going to the vet? The answer is no, not at this time. You don't need to or when the program goes into effect, we don't need to know. And for fosters with more than one animal, is there a maximum number of animals the foster can take to the vet? That's between you and the veterinarian. The veterinarian will, how it's scheduled to go is you contact them and say, I need 1 sterilization appointment, or maybe I need 5. And then they fit it in. If they tell you that's too many, then that's obviously too many, and you have to scale it down. The reason why we don't need to know is because we're going to receive a bill from the veterinarian saying that the sterilization is done, and then we can mark it on our end at that time. Are the vets sterilizing the animals at a discounted rate? Yes, they are. They've matched. Right now, the negotiation for this one vet is to match how much they charge for the SNAP organization. However, that varies by male or female, and also varies by female by the weight. So to say how many animals it's going to cover varies vastly because of the weight of the animal and female, any aftercare, and so on. And just of note that this is a $10,000 Maddie's Ground fund for foster animals, and that includes foster to adopt animals. So it's not just the foster, and it's not all for sterilization. We could also use it for anything that would benefit the foster program. So that could go several different ways and break up in several chunks. Right now, we only have it set to go towards the foster and foster to adopt animals. But again, we need to continue to negotiate, and we are. The contract is at our attorneys right now, and we'll get that out to the foster and foster to adopts as soon as it's finalized.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. What was the person's name? I didn't write it down, Clint. The volunteer or the foster who sent that letter?
Her name is Star Schneider.
Star Schneider. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Schneider. And proceed with letter number 3, Mr. Thackers.
This was an email received from Valentina Mays.
How do you spell the last name?
I'm sorry?
How do you spell that last name?
Mayz.
Thank you.
Dear Mr. Thacker and Ms. Navarro, I'm writing you today motivated by concerns I have for the animal welfare issues I've observed from ASCMV in my 4 months volunteering as a foster home. These are centered around Maggie's health and Maggie's chances of adoption while in foster care. I first sent an adoption application for a wonderful dog named Maggie, but never got a response or acknowledgement from the shelter. I ended up coming in after a month had gone by because I saw she remained listed as the adoptable dogs page of the shelter website. I was then able to bring her home with me early March as a foster, and a few days later the COVID-19 quarantine started, so all adoption events were canceled, understandably. Therefore, Maggie never got a chance to have exposure to potential adopters. I wasn't told she was heartworm positive when I brought her home. When I found out a week later when the shelter spayed her, I was concerned that if she needed treatment, I'd not be able to do that for her. The shelter gave me a 30-day supply of antibiotics and told me to return on May 25th or thereabouts for heartworm injections. When it was time to come back after the 30-day meds, I was told that the shelter does not treat for heartworm and there must be been a mistake. So I get a different answer from different people. And in this time, I've written the foster contacts, Ashley and Erica, twice, screenshot attached, never getting a response to emails or calls. I even tried to reach out via a Facebook page, but all there was on the other end was a bot reply to call the shelter. So Maggie has at that point gotten no treatment, no exposure to prospective adopters, and I have a warehouse dog who needs treatment and get no real support from the shelter. Thanks to some folks who came to our aid, the shelter gave her heartworm treatment on June 16th and sent her home with their prednisone treatment to give for 3 weeks. After Maggie had the injections, I immediately ordered heartworm prevention meds from Chewy.com. They tried numerous times to reach the vet office to approve the prescription, and not only did no one answer calls or emails, the order got auto-canceled twice because they had a limit of tries. So I had to reorder twice. I called the shelter and asked what was necessary for this to be approved on your end so this dog's heartworm treatment would not be for naught. It took multiple calls between me and the shelter and me and Chewy until someone finally did what they were supposed to do 3 days before this dog was due to take the medication. I am volunteering because I want to help the animals, but I can't help more dogs if the shelter won't talk to me or try to address concerns. In the end, thanks to outside influence, ASCMV treated her for heartworm and got her advertised by networking her, leading to what I hope is a successful adoption that was made yesterday. I'd like to continue to help by fostering, but I am hesitant to go through the same experience if I am on my own. If that is the case, then it would be a fair deal for your staff to more accurately inform foster homes what they can or cannot expect from the foster in support of finding these animals in a good home. I hope that this helps you spot the areas that need improvement and that they are properly addressed for the welfare and benefit of the animals, which is the sole purpose and reason for existence of an animal shelter. Sincerely, Valentina Mays. This, Madam Chair, this is an old issue. I've been involved in it from about the middle when I found out and we were able to get actions taken immediately. When they happened, the part about heartworm prevention meds from Chewy.com, that's completely new to me. I didn't know about that issue until I read this 2 days ago. So I know that we've been having major issues with our phones where it rings 3 times and then hangs up. I've been working with the city to get that resolved. And so far as I know, it was resolved only 2 days ago. But we've had that information that we're having phone issues and to continue to try and call on our website and also on our Facebook page. So the public was aware of our issues and we're having them. I do know I talked to, again, this is the long issue. I talked to Erica and Ashley. They both stated that they did speak to this individual. There was a mixed communication on heartworm treatment. And like I said, this was weeks and weeks ago, and we were able to get that cleared up by our medical director and also her staff. So we are glad that Maggie has a home and was able to get out and be adopted, and we hope that holds.
So, Mr. Thacker, it seems like the core of her concern was, number one, the lack of communication, and then the inconsistency in the information and insofar as the meds and this and that. But it sounds like it's all been resolved now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie. And did you speak with Ms. Mays directly to let her know, to appease her concerns? Do you speak to people? Do you call them up and say, are you okay with this? I mean, they care enough to be volunteering or fostering. So do you call them? I'm not telling you to call. I'm just curious.
When I speak to them or they request me to call them, I do speak to them one-on-one. For this one, she never called and asked to speak to me. In her letter where she states that thank you to people who intervened, I guess an individual from Texas called me and is a friend with hers. And I was immediately able to help her. And she even told me, she goes, I'm not sure what the issue is. You've been very helpful to me. So I feel the same way. If there's an issue or a problem, then and you're not getting what you need from the staff there, then move it up the line and talk to somebody else, and we can find out what is going on. And that's all I did is I started asking questions and were able to get things resolved.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like it was. I think it'd be great, and Mr. Dollahan can tell me if I'm out of line here, but I think it'd be great, or my fellow board members, I think it would be great to have like articles. There used to be, when the Sun News was a bigger newspaper, there used to be just a big section on animals in the Sunday newspaper. It'd be great if you could just like maybe once a month send in an article. I think they have different columns now. I think one is called Your Opinion, one is I think called Your View. I mean, different things just to update people on the wonderful work you all do there. Because I mean, we're dealing with some of the gaps in communication and that sort of stuff, but overall, and of course, that's the purpose of this board, is to make sure that everything is streamlined and running as well as it could possibly run. But it'd be great to not to be tooting your own horn, but to just let people know that we have a very good center, and that just to update people on what gets done, and then address maybe some of these issues without getting too much into the weeds as to the situation that raised the issue, because it's been corrected, but just to let people know how it's functioning. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you, Mr. Thacker. So that was letter number 3.
Yes,
so we're
ma'am.
done.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm so sorry. I don't even have a participant. I'm so sorry. Yes, Counselor.
Thank you. And thank you, Clint. I do have a question. It seemed like there was a little bit of confusion on what the proper procedures were for a heartworm positive dog. Could you explain what that process looks like and what type of care is given? Shelter?
Well, I believe the medical director would be better to answer that than I would, of the proper procedures taken. The miss in communication is that one vet tech thought we didn't have any of the medicine, and the other vet tech knew we did. And so there was no direct communication of that we are actually offering that service. We would not offer that service to a dog that's adoptable, but this dog was that was adopted. We would tell them the dog has heartworm, and we would tell them they need to go to their vet. Because this medicine is so outrageously expensive, if you remember, we had a volunteer in years past. They didn't want their name said because they wanted to be anonymous, but they would foster a dog and pay for the treatments and then bring it back after it was done. And so, but with this one, we had some older medicine, and we still do have a limited supply of it. And the medical director has unkinked that communication, we'll say. So it's more clear on what animals and it's also selective on what animals we supply it to. Like we probably wouldn't do it to a 15-year-old dog versus, a 1-year-old dog. So it's all about the prioritizing.
Money.
Okay, so it will go by kind of a case-by-case basis then. And based on availability of the product.
Yes, ma'am. And we're looking into grants to get more of that product so we can do for the entire shelter and its animals come up.
And I would assume when possible then, if you all know that a dog is heartworm positive, that is disclosed to whether it's adopters or fosters before they acquire that animal?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you, Counselor. Okay. Any other comments on this item? If not, any other public input by someone who might have received an email from anyone? Is Ms. Gilbert on the line? Is she, oh no, she's not a participant. Or is she? Yes, Jean.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Jean, you sent us a letter. What? Miss Gilbert?
Yes.
I'm echoing. So does that work? If you could all turn off your, if you could mute yourself. Okay, thank you. So you sent a letter, I think, to all of us, and you want to change the order of the agenda. So we did move up the public input. Is that what
yes, I was asking if on occasion the people who are presenters presenting reports could be first, maybe on a rotation or on an occasional basis.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely consider that.
Thank you.
If there's a presentation, and so and I agree with you. I think that towards the end of the meeting, people begin to fade away or whatever. But I think that accommodation is certainly possible. I did speak with Mr. Dollahan and with Mr. Thacker, and I'm sorry I didn't speak with Ms. Navarro. But based on the conversations with David and with Clint, it appears that that is definitely possible, just because nothing is really set in stone. The only thing, of course, we have to open with is the call to order and changes to the agenda and minutes. And I think that you can maybe do that on an ad hoc basis also if something comes up. Well, we can't do anything that's not on the agenda, just because otherwise it'd be on a violation of the Open Meetings Act. But otherwise, thank you so much for contacting us and for all you do for our community, Jean. Okay, next is item, because we switched them all around. Where are we? Oh, item 6, reports and presentations. Oh, so that's different. Okay. Okay, reports and that would be it would be Mary Lou and Gino.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Council. I'm Officer Lawrence, Doñana County Animal Control. I will be presenting our stats for the month of June.
Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We have a slideshow. Bernice?
Yes, let me pull that up for you real quick.
Thank you.
Can y'all see that?
Yes. Okay. So for the month of June of this year, we responded to a total of 628 calls for service. Of those 628 calls, we had a total of 519 that came from dispatch. We had 82 self-initiated calls and 27 assist calls. And as you guys can see, we broke it down again by district, district 1 through 7, and the majority of our calls being in district 2, Doñana, district 3, the East Mesa, and district 4, Mesilla Park, Mesilla Park, Mesquite, Vado, that general area. And that's been consistent throughout the years for those 3 districts.
Excuse me, William, what was number District 2? What area is that?
District 2 is going to be everything from Fort Selden into Doñana.
Okay.
And then you got Fair Acres as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next. All right, so for our animals picked up and impounded at the shelter for the month, we had a total of 168. Of those animals, we had no owner surrendered cats. We had 7 dogs that are owner surrendered. We had 50 stray cats, 61 stray dogs, 43 sick and injured animals, and 3 welfare holds. And we also had 4 bite quarantines at the shelter as well. So within those numbers, you can see that the majority of our impounds were stray cats and stray dogs, of course. And we'll go over our RTOs here in a minute. The next slide will explain the districts that the animals were picked up in. Okay, so animals picked up by district. We only had one call in District 1, which is everything north of Fort Selden. District 2, we had a total of 68 animals that were picked up. We had 47 in District 3, 41 in District 4, 13 animals in District 5, 6 animals in District 6, and 14 animals in District 7, resulting in 190 total animals. Do you have any questions on that?
Sheriff Flores, this is Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes, sir.
Yes, proceed.
Officer Lawrence, I know going back one slide before this, there was a large number of cats, and I missed. Was there a particular reason in District 2 why there were so many cats picked up? I mean, it's so far past any, I think all the rest of the districts and all the other animals in the other districts.
Yeah, we don't really have a specific say in why. All these calls that were being picked up, well, let me get to it. All these calls were picked up in traps, okay? We did have an influx this month in stray cats picked up because we had a call come in for an individual that passed away and he had some feral cats. And we received a call for service to trap those cats, and that call was in District 2, and I believe it resulted in close to 20 cats that were picked up just by that one call for service. So that influx right there would probably be from that call alone.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you, officer.
You're welcome. Okay, so for our return to owner statistics, we scanned a total of 182 animals for the month. We were only able to successfully return to owner 16 of those animals, and we had an unsuccessful attempt of 9. So as you guys can see, we have a large amount of animals that didn't have microchips that went to the shelter. We have some reasoning, obviously because of COVID situation. A lot of these animals aren't being chipped at not only at the shelter but at the vet clinics due to the limitations of when they can go out and appointments that can be made and whatnot. And we have been seeing an increase of microchips not being properly updated, either by phone number, address, name, and a lot of these microchips are being entered with no information at all. So we're looking more into why we're getting more animals that aren't getting sent home rather than to the shelter due to the microchips. So it's something that we're seeing, that we're having an increase of microchip or non-microchipped animals, or animals that are the information's out of date. So we need to look further into that and try to figure out a way to get this figured out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So these will be our bite type calls for the month. We had 12 exposures to humans. We had 3 exposure bites to other animals. And we had 4 animals that were current on the rabies vaccinations of those bites. So for our quarantines, we had 5 quarantined at the Animal Service Center. We had 1 at our Courthold facility, and we had 3 home quarantines due to them being up to date on the rabies vaccinations. And of our bite calls, 4 of those animals were gone on arrival, meaning that we couldn't make contact with those animals. and we weren't able to ascertain if they were up to date on their vaccinations. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for William Lawrence? There are no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Officer Lawrence, thank you.
Okay, so we had a total of 7 animals that were owner released into our custody, and the reasonings given by the owners were 6 that they can no longer care for. Either they were moving, they were, getting old in age, just a different variety of they can no longer take care of their animals, general response. And we had 1 owner released of animal due to its aggressive nature. I believe it was with their own animals, their other animals. We had a total of 19 court cases that went to court for the month of June. Of those 19 cases, we had a total of 33 charges, which resulted in 62 regular hours plus almost 5.5 hours of overtime for those cases. We had a total of 6 dismissed for compliance. We had a continuance of 18 cases, 6 bench trials, 2 warrants were issued for no-show, and we had a $1 $300 cash bond. Next slide, we'll discuss the types of charges. Okay, so as requested, this was the types of charges that we submitted. So for our general restraint requirements, we issued 12 citations. For our rabies control and vaccination requirements, we had a total of 7 citations. For population control, it resulted in 5 citations. We had 4 enforcement authority and processing, 2 multiple animal site permits, 2 animal cruelties, and 1 for pet licensure and owner identification. So that's just a general breakdown of our ordinances and what they were cited under. Okay, and our spay and neuter action program, we're just now barely getting started, due to the COVID outbreak. So the numbers are still down, but they're going to start going up as long as we're allowed to start making appointments with staff. So at today's date, we have 13 dogs that were spayed and neutered and 2 cats that were spayed and neutered. And of course, like I mentioned, we're hoping that we continue to see an increase in these numbers as they're allowed to make appointments to get their animals in to get fixed. We're just at the mercy of COVID at this point. And that'll be it.
Any questions for Officer Lawrence? I don't see any little blue hands up, so there are no questions. Thank you. Thank you again very much for your work and your presentation.
Miss Ward has something for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Where's Ms. Ward?
She's trying to talk, but we can't hear her.
Oh.
Let me go try to help her real quick, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Be right back.
Madam Chair, I believe she was shaking her head no, that she didn't have any comments. And it now looks like she's agreeing with me.
So can you hear me, Mary Jo? Yes? So do you have anything to say, to report? You do. But we can't hear you.
Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so just real quick, I wanted to add to William's report in regards to the return to owner in the field. And what we're looking at is, and Jeannie can probably talk to you a little bit more about it too. We're looking at a new software that we're probably gonna look into getting for a people finder. So when the officers find, a lot of times we're finding that their microchips are not updated. And sometimes we look for people and we can't find out who these people are because they've moved several times. And so we're looking at some of the people finder software. So if the officers are looking for an individual and we can't find them, so possibly a few of the individuals here at our department will have access to that software, and hopefully that'll help us find some of these individuals that might have had these animals microchipped, or these people that might have moved at one point. So that's another aspect that we're looking at later down the road that might help us find these individuals to get these animals back to their owners a little bit better than we're just brainstorming now and trying to see what more we can do to try to get them out into the field. So I just wanted to add that out there, that we're looking at other aspects and trying to do that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you very much. Okay, so Gino, you're
Yes,
next.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Also, Madam Chair, before I begin, once Officer Lawrence was done with his presentation, I believe I saw Commissioner Ellens raise his hand. And I don't want to, if he had something, I'd like to give him that opportunity.
See, I didn't see him. He's not even on. Oh, here he is. No. Commissioner Ellens, did you have a question for Mr. Lawrence? Can you hear me, Gino?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so where's Commissioner Ellens?
We just can't hear him. Mr. Ellens, can you hear us?
His hand isn't raised as far as the participants go, and I don't know.
Okay.
Well, let's continue with you, Gino, and then if Mr. Ellens wants to speak up, he can.
I think his mic's on now.
Mr. Ellens?
I'm having mic problems.
Okay, there you are. So did you have a question for Mr. Lawrence, Officer Lawrence?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I'll just take it up in the office. It'll take too long to answer the question.
Okay, thank you. So proceed, Officer.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, for benefit of the record, my name is Gino Jimenez. I am the Animal Control Supervisor for the City of Las Cruces. I will begin my presentation. Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. So for the month of June 2020, we responded to 446 reported strays. Of those, 206 were GOA, meaning the officer did not have any contact with that animal. We were successful in apprehending 240 of those. Of those, 96 were dogs and 106 were cats. We were successful in field RTOing 38 dogs or animals back to their owners. We were unsuccessful in returning 13 back to the owners, and that 13 is included in the 202 that were impounded at the shelter, or at the Animal Service Center. So that gives us a total of 51 identifiable animals. So here's our 3-year comparison for strays. Of course, for June, we have the number of 446, which we anticipate because of COVID that our numbers are going to go down. And even after this is over, hopefully it's over soon, but we hopefully we keep these numbers down to where they're the trend that's going on right now. So here is our 3-year comparison for field RTOs. It's keeping within our trend at 38 for this month. We were at 35 for a year ago and 30 for the year before.
Wow.
So we're showing a pretty good trend. We would like, as of course, we'd like that number to go up, that we are being able to field RTO more animals as we go along. Here is our reasons for owner releasing of animals. 4 by the same owner because he could not afford the animals any longer, and his and the animals' living conditions were terrible, according to the officer that responded. 3 were for dogs that were left behind, and the landlord was able to redeem or turn those animals over to us. 3 were for dogs acting aggressive towards their family, and 1 was for it was a fosterer, and that dog was acting aggressive towards him. And 3 were for dogs that were sick or injured or that required some sort of medical issues that the owner could not afford. Finally, here is our reasons that we were unable to field RTO. 6 were for no contact by telephone and or at the residence. That could be a number of reasons. Maybe they were at work, they couldn't answer their phone, whatever the reason could be. 6 where the microchips were not registered or updated. And that falls in line with what Officer Lawrence was saying that is happening on the county side as well. We're receiving, the officers are scanning these animals and they're coming back with the microchip information. However, it may be missing the address, or the address is included. The officer goes to that address and the animal owner no longer lives there. So we're asking people, that citizens, that if they do move, to please update that microchip information. That would definitely ease a lot or lessen the number of animals going to the animal service center.
Ernest?
Yes, sir. Go.
On a previous slide, you said that there were 51 animals that were returned to their owners. I think it's the one before that. Yeah, here we go. 38 successful field returns, not 51. Is that
I'm sorry if I misspoke, sir. I meant 51 were identifiable. Thank you for correcting that for me.
Was that due to microchips?
Either microchips or some sort of tag that showed that they were an owned animal. Could be a rabies tag, an ID tag, a pet license, any sort of identifiables.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Go back to here. So keeping up, so those 6 microchips that were not registered or updated, and 1 was a dog that was abandoned by the fosterer. And here is my stray map. I'm going to minimize this screen. And this is the stray. Can you all see my map?
Yes.
Okay. This is the stray map for the month of June 2020. It shows the areas where we have picked up stray animals, or we have been called to reported of a stray animal. I can zoom in a little bit more into the city, and then I will do move it around so that we can get a better view of things. If there's a particular district that anybody would like for me to highlight, please let me know and I'll focus in on that one. So if there is no questions, Madam Chair, I will stand for questions.
I'm in the middle of a meeting, that's why I am. I'm missing you. Animal services.
All right. It looks like Chairwoman Flores is a little
Yes.
caught up. So with that, does the rest of the board have any questions for Officer Jimenez?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you. And thank you, Gino, for this. I know that we are seeing, or I've seen online that there have been reports of different types of wildlife coming near the area. And I don't know if you guys, if some of these little dots here are some of those calls that you've seen again.
Yes, ma'am. To answer your question, these red dots are the other animals.
Yeah.
And for example, this one is a rabbit. Anything other than a dog or a cat. But let me try to find, I believe this one is going to be a mountain lion. There's the bobcat.
Yes.
We were dispatched to a bobcat call. And we are getting a lot more of those calls here recently. For example, I don't know if it's the same bobcat, but we're getting a lot of calls in this area in reference to bobcat sightings. However, we're also getting calls for mountain lions. As the weather gets hot and water becomes scarce up in the Oregons, they do come down during the summer months to try to get into that easier accessible water. We've had reports of them drinking out of swimming pools in right over here by Sonoma Ranch. So it's not unusual. However, there should be precautions, of course. We refer what AC Animal Control's responsibility is for those wildlife calls, such as bobcats and mountain lions, is we'll go out and try to spot them and make sure that there is not a public threat. And if we do spot them, then we'll call out New Mexico Game and Fish, and they will come out and it'll be their determination what happens with that animal. Because they are protected and because they belong to the state, they will decide whether to dispatch that animal or capture it and relocate it.
Thank you. And with that in mind, have they decided to redispatch like that bobcat, do you know, or if they are allowing them to just stay put and the animal is coming back in again?
Counselor, I have no idea what their protocol is at this time. Once if we don't see it, all we do is advise them that we were dispatched to wildlife call. If we do see it, then it becomes their responsibility and at their discretion as to what they do with it.
Do they communicate back any resolutions on those with you?
No, ma'am. Again, it's their jurisdiction.
Yes. I think it would be helpful if they've allowed an animal to stay in the area, if they have that communication with you, then we can let the public know as well that that animal is protected in that area. That's been the resolution, but it might be good then, if that is the case, then we might need to give education towards those neighborhoods that do see those types of occurrences with those types of animals.
And you're absolutely right. What I'll do is I'll make a better effort we have a pretty good working relationship with the Game and Fish Department. And I'll make a better effort to follow up with them to see what they've done with that wildlife that has been spotted. And also, we do provide brochures that they have provided for us. Some of them say, for example, living with large predatory wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
And all it's telling you basically is that they were here before we were. So we need to learn how to live with them, and also precautions to take so that you're not inviting them into your backyards. And also the precautions to be aware and give Game and Fish a phone call if you do see them.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think that'd be very helpful, especially if we're seeing more of those occurrences at this time of year.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you, Madam Chair. Those are all the questions I have at the time.
And thank you, Counselor, and thank you, Commissioner, for taking that. I had an emergency call. So Gino, thank you. Gino, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just as a follow-up to what, and thank you for your questions, Councilor Betastuvi, because I'm very concerned about wildlife. I'm very concerned about, like the ones that you mentioned are within the city limits. So what happens? You say that you just, and thank you for telling people that we have to learn to live with them. What makes me really sad is when I first moved here in 2005, or bought the house here in 2005, we had bobcats in our backyard, and they would come in at night. And my mother always had water out for the birds, so they would come out. Of course, the cats would come, but and then the coyotes, they were around, and they never interrupted our daily activity in any way. So thank you for letting people know. And after a while, it was like, just get rid of the water and they stopped coming around. But what happens beyond that? I mean, I have to really watch my words here, but well, the county, I'll bite the bullet here. The county does have Wildlife Services a contract with that corporation. It's a national corporation, and of course it's for the county. But of course, our wildlife don't know county lines, city lines, or jurisdictions. Do you, by any chance, provide a telephone number for people, or you just tell them, you know what, called? What is it? Did you say, was it Wildlife and Game? Is that a state agency, or is that the one that the county hires to annihilate animals willy-nilly?
Madam Chair, we share that same contract with the USDA Wildlife Services.
Oh, okay.
So we share that same contract with them, or MOU, I should say. I have been on a few calls. I think I've mentioned this a few months ago, where this has been a long time when I was still out in the field. A pack of coyotes threatened and actually went after a pedestrian as she was walking her small dog on a leash. And this was up on the North Sonoma Ranch area before it was as developed as it is now. And a pack of coyotes came and attacked her and actually tried to grab her small dog as she put it in her arms. She immediately called us. I was dispatched out there. I was able to spot the dogs, or the coyotes, and I kept an eye on them. And meanwhile, the USDA Wildlife Services was dispatched to assist me. Now, this became their protocol or their jurisdiction, and they chose to dispatch those animals. I'm sorry? Oh.
What do you, what do you mean by dispatch?
Kill them. Kill them. I want to be that blunt.
I'm waiting for what's.
But they were able to kill that pack of animals and move along, because they had shown that they had now become aggressive towards the public. And it's rare that they do that.
That is, because I've walked my dog, and there were three. I was on Mission, near a golf club. And I was going towards the park there, Desert Trails. And it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And there were three coyotes, heading west on Mission with my dog. When they saw us, they just ran the other way. They were scared. I mean, scared, like the dickens. So I'm really sorry to hear that woman had that incident. But, and then the Desert Trails Community Park has coyotes, and a lot of us walk our dogs there, and they just skidoo when they see us. So
yes, ma'am. And
Mayor,
it's rare.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes, I'm the mayor now. You can call me.
To the both of you. So sorry. I think
but somebody has their mute.
Yeah, can someone mute, because we're getting a lot of background. Please.
Madam Chair, it looks like Mr. Guzman has his, it's on, he's not on mute. It looks like, I believe that's where the line may be coming, or the word.
Oops, sorry. Sorry
Was
about
that you, Adrian?
Yeah,
Okay.
my mistake.
Okay, got it. Okay, I was just concerned about, in asking you these questions, Gino, about our practices here with wildlife. And, I agree with you 100%. It's like we're encroaching, and we have to learn how to live with our wildlife. So thank you for taking conservative measures and sharing that information with us. Any other questions for Gino? Oh,
Madam Chair,
there
I believe
I am.
Commissioner Allens had, he was raising his hand on his video earlier.
Oh, Commissioner Allens, your hand isn't up anymore. You still want to say something? Commissioner Allens? Okay, any other questions? His hand isn't up and he's not responding, so. Let's move on. What is our next item? Okay, those are the ACO shelter stats and activities by Mr. Thacker.
Yes, ma'am. Here we go. As soon as Gino unshares his screen, there we go. I'll be able to start mine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the ASCMV Director's Report for the numbers in June. The current animal count at the Animal Service Center is 185 dogs, 122 cats, for a total of 307. We've seen that number go up slightly since June. Remember last month it was a little bit lower, but it continues to trick up just a little bit, and that's because of the busy time of year. We knew it was going to be an uptick. Animal control on both sides, county and cities, are doing a good job of watching the impounds they're bringing in, and we appreciate that greatly. Again, the reason why we want to limit those impounds is my staff is split up into two teams, an A team and a B team, and they do not intermix. They're two separate. And the reason for that is if somebody comes down with COVID, then that team would have to shut down and quarantine because they've worked with that individual. So if team A has to shut down, then team B can come on and clean the shelter until that quarantine period is over for that. So we want to keep those numbers as low as possible. So in the event that happens, it's manageable for that one team to take care of. Intake versus 2020 or 2019. As you can see, it's half of what we were coming in. 286 dogs and 259 cats for the intake for June versus that total of 1,044 for 2019. We had 0 returns for dogs and cats in the month of June. And those are adopted animals that people didn't want and brought back. So that's good.
Very good.
Now, outcomes. I think we need to switch this to more of a percentage than we do just hard numbers, because it looks like things aren't going well. But I'd like to know the percentage of what of the intake of adoptions, reclaims, and rescues are, because I think you'll see that we are still doing a very good job, especially when you compare it to 2019. It looks like wow, 181 adoptions, but only 72. Well, our intake was half of that for 2020. So I think we are going to switch that to percentages. Mm-hmm. So you can see going down, rescue numbers are looking fabulous. Thank you very much to our local and our regional rescues that are taking our animals. We couldn't be doing this without you. And at 81.4% live release rate. And for those that are watching, the live release rate is the percentage of animals that left the center alive. So 81% of the animals that came into the center left alive.
Wow.
Our total visitors in June was 549. Again, you compare that to the 1,850 in 2019, you're like, wow, it's a big difference. But when you consider we're doing appointments only, So that's 549 people that actually contacted us, made appointments, came in, and we're also only counting one person. Whereas in last year, we were counting everybody that was in the party, and sometimes we would have 7, 8, 9 people in the lobby, and now we only have a maximum of 2 at one time. So we're continuing to make great strides during this COVID time for that. And that concludes my presentation. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Thacker. Does anyone have any questions for Clint? Okay, no questions. Let's move on to the next item, which is committee reports. Finance Committee Chair is David Dollahan. Is there anyone else on that committee that might be reporting for him?
Madam Chair, this is Councilor Ada Stuvey.
Yes.
You're on mute, Councilor.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. I was also in attendance to our finance meeting. I do not have exactly what Mr. Dollahan was wanting to present, but one of the items we did talk about are grants accepted, and there were 3 items that did need attention during that time in our reports. There was a question of assets and logging on proper. There were 3 assets, line item 6404, 6449, and 6450. And it was pictures of assets and needing to find out more details on those. And we can turn over, I think, if Amador is here, there were a few other questions at the time during our finance committee, and I believe they've been addressed with staff.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Amador Espinosa. I am one of the accountants for the city of Las Cruces. To answer the councilor's question regarding the assets, we raised the question because the building actually belongs to the city of Las Cruces. And so we had building improvements on the animal services general ledger. So I just asked the question, should they belong there, or should we transfer those assets to the city? And so the response is more than likely, we're going to transfer them over to the city. The book value of the assets in total, of the 3 assets in total, I believe is like 16,000 remaining life of those building improvements. So it won't be a significant, decrease of your assets from animal services when we transfer over those line items to the city of Las Cruces. So moving along, can everyone see the board the PowerPoint presentation on the screen?
Amador, we can see it, but we think we need to see your other monitor.
All right, let me see if I can do this here. Yeah, I always have difficulty with this. Hold on, give me.
There, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't actually have the power slide running, but I'll just run it that way just for time constraints. Looking at your financial statements, which is page number 1, that's a statement of net position, which is also called the balance sheet. For the general fund, your cash balance is 290,000. Your receivables is at 4,000. Your total liabilities is at 69,000. 6,600 is due to vendors, and 61,000 is due for compensated absences. And I do apologize for the typo. I had 6,400 at the time. Revenues collected in advance. Again, we discussed the grants that the governing board approved. 25,000 of that is for the Carol Petrie Foundation. 10,000 is for the Maddie's COVID Pet Care Stimulus, and 9,000 is for the Best Friends Animal Society Cat Life. So we received that money in advance. We haven't spent it, so we defer the revenue until FY21. Once the grants start getting spent, then we'll recognize the revenue in FY21. For the unassigned balance for the general fund, it is 181,000. For the capital projects funds, you have a restricted balance of 31,565. Originally, we had 3,600 specifically restricted for the current donation. But right on Friday, when I was working with Bernice and also working with OMB, they asked me to transfer 28,000 from the general fund to the capital projects fund. Your book value for your capital assets, your total book value for your capital assets is 255,000. Moving on to page number 2.
What's that?
I live close to the international airport, and so that was just an actual fighter jet making a round. So sorry about that. So you're changing.
Gosh, you can't help that, Amador, right?
Right. But actually, guys,
How do you sleep at night?
I think that's the wingman. So looking at your change in that position, across all funds, you have total revenues for the general fund at 2,065,000, and then total expenditures at 2,656,000. We transferred a total of 106,000 from the general fund to the capital projects fund, and that will leave a net change in your fund balance of 3,342. Again, your capital projects funds, there's been no change. All that activity happened in July. We were trying to finish up and spend the remaining $77,000 grant that the center had received. The revenues are at 13,000 and total expenditures are at 48,000. And then right below you see the transfer coming in of 105,000. So with that transfer coming in, your net change to your fund balance is 70,000. Capital projects capital assets funds, your depreciation, your year-to-date depreciation is 45,000. So your budget to actual schedule, and we're just concentrating specifically for the general fund. Your budget parameter is at 100%. Total revenues is at 95%, and total expenditures is at 92.3%. So as far as your expenditures are concerned, they were below the budget parameter. So on your financial packets, you have page number 4, and that is your the center's monthly trend. So what that trend does is it takes your year to date and it itemizes it, your revenues and expenditures by month. And then what this graph does, it basically takes your data points, your monthly total revenues, and plots them onto this linear graph. So all of your data points that are in green, olive green, that represents your revenue, and all your data points in red represents your total expenditures. Your pie chart, percentage of total expenditures, basically that just represents as 77% of your 202,656,000 were spent in personnel, 10% towards supplies, and 7% towards 10% towards services and 7% towards supplies. And of course, this is the pet of the week, Lucille, and I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Espinosa, for Amador?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Oh, yes, Councilor Beta-Stubbe.
Yes, thank you, Amador. During our meeting, we also had an issue with a project code 7441, and it was for $28,000. And there seemed to be some confusion on what that money was going to be for, and they had looked up the justification sheets. But I didn't know if we could expand upon that resolution that was found out with that item.
Madam Chair, Councilor, there was a transfer that was approved at the beginning of the budget to transfer 28,000 from the general fund 7440 to 7441. As far as the details, I would defer that to budget.
To whom?
William Blanchard, budget analyst.
Oh, okay.
And the 28,000 in the justification was for a medical wing improvement. And I've spoken with Clint. We're not quite sure why it was budgeted. He can't remember any project, but we're going to be bringing another carryover to carry that $28,000 over in the capital account. So he's going to have some money in there that he can use for other capital projects. We believe it was probably budgeted in 2 different line items, one of them in error, one of them was used. But we have the transfer budgeted, so we're going to make use of those funds anyways.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, does anybody have a, Councilor Beta-Stubbe, did you have something else to say, to add?
I'll defer to you right now, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just want to know, well, first of all, Mr. Espinosa, it says that this is unaudited. So what exactly does that mean? And this money that's going here and there, and that's always been somewhat of a concern of mine, due largely in part because I'm not an accountant. And so I don't really know how money moves around. But when I see money, for example, and with all due respect to Mr. Thacker, there's this $28,000 and I can't recall what it was. So now Mr. Blanchard says, so now we're going to move it or somewhere else or do something else with it. And then this thing that says in parenthesis, unaudited, all of that really, frankly, scares me. What does that all mean? And where do we go from here to make sure that we don't know exactly where this money, why it was earmarked for something or it didn't happen or can't recall? How do we rectify that situation, or how is it explained, and how do we rectify that?
Madam Chair, thank you for your question. So normally throughout the months, we label our financial statements as unaudited, and that's only because it hasn't been reviewed by an auditing firm, an independent auditing firm. And that's something, as you know, we're at 6:30. We have, the board has approved to contract an auditing firm that will be reviewing all of the transactions or pulling samples of those transactions to make sure that the balances are fairly stated without any type of material misstatement. So without the accounting verbiage or terminology, it just means that it hasn't been reviewed by an independent auditing firm or accounting firm.
So when they look at this and they see this $28,000 that's been moved from one column to another or one fund to another, what do they do with that? Do they ask you? Do they ask William? Do they ask Clint? Do they come to the board? I mean, where do we, how does this all play out?
Yes, ma'am, good question. So what happens is part of the auditing process is that they will review some of what they call the supporting documentation or the source documents. So they will ask, okay, we see that you, for the entire fiscal period, you transferred a total of $105,000 from the general fund to your capital projects funds. They will ask for the support. They will ask, is there an invoice that supports that, or are the minutes that the governing board approved of that movement of money from one fund to the other fund. So in essence, when you're thinking about auditing, is that they're auditing legal documents, whether it's invoices that you're invoicing out to say, for example, the city of Sunland Park or or Hatch, or invoices that vendors are billing us for payment, or resolutions that have been approved by the governing board that gives us the authority to move that money from one fund to another fund. And so since throughout the period or throughout the months, we haven't been reviewed by the independent auditing firm, the financial statements that we present to you are unaudited.
I see. So that means that when like the resolution we just passed just earlier this morning, that would be enough to support the auditing process. They won't go further than to see if there was any shenanigans there, for lack of a better word. I mean, call a spade a spade. It's just that we're dealing with other issues right now. And I mean, not in the city, but another board I sit on. And all of this is coming to surface. It's like, so where exactly did this money come from, and why was this resolution passed, or how was it passed? Which means that we have to be fully informed at every turn. I mean, just at every juncture. So
yes, ma'am. Good question. And again, that as far as your budget, the budget that's presented to you and that is approved by the governing board, and that resolution that's presented to you, once that's presented to you, that's a legal document.
Mhm.
So the auditors, when they come in and they audit, they will actually assign a staff accountant, and they will have them review the board minutes. So they will review the board minutes, and they will look at the resolutions, and they will make a listing of all board approved resolutions. And as they're auditing your financial statements, they're looking at where these transactions, especially transactions that are material or a huge, if they've been approved by the governing board.
Okay, so then it's really incumbent upon us to really ask a lot of questions that may be a little, well, because I'm not an accountant, I ask questions, and so that would all be on the record insofar as how we based our decision based on the information provided to us. And then if there's anything that doesn't quite jive there, does the accounting firm then look any further than that, maybe to the party presenting?
Yes, ma'am. So that is a good point to make. So it starts with your approved budget. With your what?
With your what?
And it allows, and you're basically allowing your director to spend that money. Any significant increases to the budget, they have to present it and they have to justify it. And they have to tell you, and that's why they, and William, feel free to step in if you'd like. That's why the budget department, O&B, provides budget summaries. So if there's an increase or if there's a transfer of a budget from one place to another place, they give you the budget summary and they give you all the support of why they're asking you to allow them to move that money and also to spend that money.
Okay.
And so then any concerns that you might have, that's part of, you have your engagement letter. It tells you what the responsibility of management, which is you all, the governing board, and what is the responsibility of the auditor and how they audit it. They audit according to governing, to auditing standards. Then if there's any concerns that you might have, then you can talk to your auditor and you can say, well, on top of what you're supposed to audit, you have other areas of concern. And then you can ask them to look into those areas. Look into those areas and they can pull all the support. And support is everything that's legal. It's legal. What they audit is legal. It's legal document.
Fully supported, documented.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. Ms. Demouche, is that you trying to get in?
Yes, it is, Madam Chair.
How did I know? Well, I see your little blue hand.
It's the laugh. It's the laugh.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, and also Councillor Stuvey, I want to address the $28,000. It did come up in the finance meeting, and actually afterwards started doing some digging. Originally, the $28,000, as Mr. Blanchard mentioned just a few minutes ago, this $28,000 was actually originally budgeted at the original budget for FY20 by the Animal Service Center and was adopted by the board. It's a transfer actually from your operating to your capital. In the middle of the fiscal year, there was another resolution that was taken to the board to increase that transfer by, I want to say, $77,000. So the total transfer for the year, if you look at the records, I want to say, and I apologize, I don't have any numbers directly in front of me, but it was around $105,000. What happened was the $77,000 was transferred by finance into, out of your operating into the capital. But unfortunately, the $28,000 was never transferred over, even though it was budgeted. So what Amador was bringing up was that they are going to make that transfer. There is enough funds in the balance to continue that transfer. So one of the things that I talked with Mr. Thatcher and also with Mr. Dollahan was that if there is a need in FY21 to do some capital improvements or to make any capital, changes to the to the current building that they have, he would have some funds available in the capital account to make those adjustments, or not adjustments, but to make those, what am I trying to say? To pay for services if they need to fix the building or anything else that needs to be capitalized. But that by the end of the fiscal year, that $28,000 gets transferred over. And just like I told Mr. Thatcher, that he has a nice, a little bit probably due to COVID, he has a good ending balance for the operating, and he also now has a good beginning balance for FY21. We will, however, since we did not budget that in his fiscal year 21 budget, we will at the next board meeting be bringing a resolution to bring that budget in, not the money, the budget in, so that way Mr. Thatcher can use it. Now, also wanting to maybe answer the board chair's concerns about where the money, moving the money around. Think of this as your bank account, Councilor Flores. Think of your own personal bank. You've got a bank balance. So at the end of a fiscal year, let's say, you've got a nice little balance there. Well, if you, personally, we don't actually, like have a program where we budget, but here we have, because we're government funded, unless we have permission, which the budget is permission to spend that money, you can't spend it. You can't use it. So pretty much what the budget does is it allows you to have the capacity to spend that money to make purchases, to buy things. To buy dog food in this case, okay? So without budget, the Animal Service Center is not able to purchase things. So that's why we budget at the beginning of each new fiscal year. Sometimes if we have some expenses that maybe just in this case, like the cat cages or whatever did not come in, we have to carry over the expenses, and we have to carry over the budget so that way they can pay for it when that item comes in. So hopefully that answers your questions, but just, sometimes to take it down to like thinking of your own personal, bank account.
Yes, and you've made that very clear. And I've always said, simpleton here when it comes to the professional aspects of budgeting. But it's like, you have X amount of money. There's X amount of money that has to be spent on certain things like utilities and food and mortgages or insurance and car payments. And then you just don't spend, and anything that's over, you just put it into savings. And then, that encourages to save even more money. But that just from a very, household type of financing. And I've never been in debt. So, but this concerns me because as a board, and it isn't again, I have to make it very clear. It's not to cast any doubt on anyone personally. I just take this role as being supremely one that I watch over. I mean, it's of supreme importance, and being really the fiduciary. I mean, in some ways, we're the fiduciary agents here. So, we have the fiduciary duty. So, so that's why I ask all these questions. I just want to make sure that, heaven forbid, something just doesn't, pass by us. That's all.
Well, Madam Chair, no, these are really great questions, and sometimes, it can be confusing. Even, sometimes I have to go back and look at something and as well. So no, these are really great questions. I also want to let you know, because the city is the fiscal agent for the Animal Service Center, all of the resolutions that you as a board pass, budget, we put in the bars, to move this, to transfer money and to give them budget. But all of these resolutions, we can't do that. We can't put this into our Munis system without that resolution. That resolution is actually attached in Munis as well. And we even have to send all of those resolutions that you pass for budget adjustments. We send all of those resolutions to the Department of Finance Administration with the state as well. So I do want you to know that we do document everything and that we do send it to DFA as well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Moosh. It's always it's just enlightening and edifying. So thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Amador. Councilor Abeyta-Stube, do you have another question?
I do.
Follow up or?
There's only one other follow-up I'd like to have from our finance report, and that was regarding, we still had, it looked like 3 payments to follow through on at the center. One was for CenturyLink and for about $550, South Solid Waste Authority for about $350, and for the rental of the pods for $600. And I'd just like to check in to see if those have been paid yet.
So, Madam Chair and ladies and gentlemen of the board, as far as accounting for them in FY20, I worked with Bernice on Friday to make sure they got recorded in FY20 and they're reflected in the FY20 financial statements. As far as being paid, I believe Bernice was preparing the request for checks to be paid in FY21. So we posted the accrual, and then the payment will be paid in FY21.
And this is Bernice Navarro. And yes, the ones for the request of checks, those were finally able to be entered. I was having some serious computer issues. We had to get the company in to assist. We got them fixed, so those were entered. And as far as the pods, we have been working with that vendor and getting that all completed. So that should be taken care of here this week also.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome, Councilor. And well, are we done with the finance, Councilor Abeyta-Stube? Are we done with the finance report?
I am, Madam
Chair. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next is the executive. And the executive committee, which is comprised of Mr. Sanchez, Mr. Ellens, and Clint and I, did not meet. I did call and speak with, I definitely spoke with Mr. Thacker, and I believe I spoke with Mr. Sanchez, and I couldn't reach Mr. Ellens. We didn't meet. We didn't feel that there was anything to meet about. And so there's nothing to report. Next is facilities, and the committee chair is Mayor Pro Tem Cassandra Gandara. Do you have anything to report, Madam Mayor
Yes,
Pro Tem?
Madam Chair, thank you. We did meet, we meet the first Thursday of every month. Clint and I spoke related to the facility, got an update about the HVAC and where they were at, what they were doing. And things are moving along in hopes, I hope, Clint, for an August completion. Did I get that correct? Trying to do this from off the top of my head. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. We're on for the end of July completion date. Yes.
Yeah. So it's really excited about that. And finally, as promised, Clint gave me a tour of the facility, and at that point, that early in the morning, the staff was out cleaning, making sure things were in top condition. I saw some mamas with puppies, and things looked good. Staff looked. I was happy to see people, and I think Clint was happy to see people. So I think that we talked a little bit about staff getting antsy, being remote, kind of what steps might be put in place to meet a little more frequently. But that really is it. Nothing major to report other than that we do consistently meet. We had the tour. I don't know, Clint, do you have anything else to share?
The only thing I have to share is we have 90% drawings completed for the new animal center that's being built right next to the existing center. We gave feedback on those. I had great conversation with Gino and Mary Lou about the Sally Port and officers, how they're going to access that. We were able to work through those concerns, gave feedback to the architects, and they took it, and we're going to make a little slight changes, and we're excited. It's all moving forward fairly quickly.
Thank you, Clint. That's it, Madam Chair. I stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mayor Pro Tem Gandara or for Mr. Thacker about facilities? Clint, good. Clint, I have a question for you. You mentioned facilities. How are we coming along with our new facility on Valley? Or wait a minute. No, the new. I'm sorry, I'm confusing it. Okay, how is our new facility coming along? Are we on schedule?
On Rinconada, our new center.
Yes.
Yeah, things are going really well. Like I said, they completed the 90%. They turned in the 90% drawings.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're right on track. Hopefully by October, November-ish, we'll have some bids out, and we can get that process settled and done. So
yeah, because we have to get all that done pursuant to the GO bond, right? I mean, we have to comply with certain timelines. So
yeah, the completion date for the center is December 2021.
And it's on schedule.
Yes, ma'am.
And how about the artwork? Because I know that there was a public art money. I think it was 1% was allocated for public art, and the city art board hasn't been able to meet because it's been difficult to get everybody together. I think, and so I know that the Quality of Life Department right now is working on trying to get it so that the CAB, the City Art Board, can meet. And then the current chair resigned And so they're, trying to reorganize in that regard. But, so have you heard anything about the public art? Or have they?
It's been in discussion about the 1%. We know, and we're all aware of it, and we will be having that in there. As far as when and where, it has not been discussed.
Not
I
at
know
all.
that Tony. Well, I know in our discussions we've talked, and we're aware that the 1% needs to happen, and what the 1% pertains to.
Right.
But Tony, I think it's Trevino would be able to.
Trevino, yes.
Yeah, be able to answer that better.
Okay.
For that, the architects know about it.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that you were in the loop too, though. I mean, you're the director, but COVID's really thrown a wrench into everything in terms of communication, not, just getting together and stuff. So great. Thank you so much. We have chair and board comments, and I can.
Think, doesn't that coalition's report come now?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely, Jean. It's so tiny on my agenda for some reason. I know, because I've written all around it. Yes, Jean, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. And I want to thank Clint and Bernice for having me here at the ASCMV to use a workstation here. Excuse me a minute. Here is the list of animal organizations that will be represented in this July report by the Coalition for Pets and People, and groups that aren't represented or aren't here will be in next month's report. You could turn, please. And here is some of the work of the Coalition for June and July. Rick is the chair, and he and I hold meetings a couple times a month, and we've been involved with the task force. We continue to maintain our Facebook page, and we do outreach, and we do email distribution work, and we're part of the pet network. Thank you. Next slide, please. This is I'm Almost Home, and they're home based in El Paso. But they do serve animals here in the Las Cruces community and South Valley. And Halo was found dumped off the interstate between Las Cruces and El Paso, and she was dragging her back legs and nearly starving. She'd been shot several times with a pellet gun, but fortunately she was rescued by I'm Almost Home, which is Diane Avery is the director of the organization. And after a few months, this dog has really made remarkable progress. In fact, she doesn't need to use her wheel cart now, and she's in water therapy. So this is a really wonderful success story about this, this precious little dog. And okay, next, the Las Cruces Dog Park were among many residents helping animals that were scared by the explosions of fireworks during the 4th of July, and animals that escaped their homes or got out of their yards. Citizens and the Pet Network reported many lost and found pets that were affected by the fireworks, and this seemed to go on for about a week's time. Please, next slide. Here you see a picture of a city worker who's watering down the dog park. The dog park is located at 430 North Hermosa, south of Mearshite Center, and the park reopened in June. Kevin Armstrong is the president of the dog park, and he reports that social distancing has been easy to do there at the park. And here, as I noted, a Parks and Recreation worker with a water tank is spraying down the park. And this is something that they'll be doing a couple times a month, as well as power washing the posts, cements, and boulders at the park. And in the meantime, members of the dog park volunteer to do the maintenance between the times that the city parks and rec comes. Next slide, please. The Las Cruces Pet Network has been in existence for several years, and Randy Myers is the primary person who sends email notices to a large distribution list. And this is about lost and found animals and those that need rehoming, like these two cats. And this is an example of work between an agency and animal organizations, because Mary Lou Ward reported these two cats, a person wanting to surrender them. And so Mary Lou came to the Pet Network, and it's my understanding that these two cats have been placed with action programs for animals. Next slide, please. Forever Homes Animal Rescue is home-based in Alamogordo, and they assist animals in southern New Mexico. Jamie Jones is the Las Cruces rep, and Forever Homes has transported 41 animals in June, and they went to rescues in New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Colorado, and other states. The shepherd puppy pictured here in the duck are both animals from our shelter that were helped by Forever Homes. Okay, next slide, thank you. Safe Haven Animal Sanctuary has had several adoptions this summer, including the adoption of little Henry Higgins pictured here. Safe Haven opened their thrift store May 20th, and with a change in hours, and hours posted here. They've set up their store with the with COVID guidelines, as you can see by the picture here. And they're limited to 34 shoppers at a time in the store for social distance. Okay, and the next slide, please. Spay Neuter Action Program didn't have a report for us this time, but, and they are closed. Their offices are closed right now, but callers can, people can call their office and they will respond to the voicemails, and then they will set up phone interviews talking to clients who are interested in getting their pets spayed and neutered. SNAP did submit a comprehensive report to the Doñana County government as it related to their contract, and they'll share their voucher numbers in a future. I'll have those numbers for you at a future meeting. Okay, next slide, please. And this is Uncaged Paws. Here you see Denise Byer with Ranger, and 17 dogs from Las Cruces were including the two puppies pictured here, affiliated with Uncaged Paws, were on the June 20th Dog is My Co-Pilot flight, which flew out of El Paso, and the animals went to rescues in Portland or in Oregon. A total of 64 dogs were on board of that June 20th flight, and the majority of them were from El Paso. Uncaged Paws continues to participate as a partner in Dog is My Co-Pilot. Their flights are ongoing. And their Uncaged Paws services also include foster and adoption and transport and networking for animals. And they are working, they have made a lot of efforts into their Bark House, which is to establish a spay, neuter, microchip, and vaccination hub here in Las Cruces. Okay, and next slide, please. This is Uncaged Paws again. Last Sunday, they flew, Dog is My Co-Pilot flew out 75 dogs from El Paso, and they went on flights to rescues in Oregon, Idaho, and Utah. The majority were from the El Paso Services Center and El Paso area rescues, and some of them were from Las Cruces through Uncaged Paws. Pictured here, you see the founder of Dog is My Co-Pilot, who is Peter Rourke, pictured in the right. And on the left is Pilot Carter, who also flies with Dog is My Co-Pilot. And he's shown here loading a dog. Okay, next slide, please. This is about summer heat, and it requires us to keep our pets at home where they have air conditioning, and when outdoors, they need to have ample shade and continuous access to clean water. And as you'll note here by this chart, I thought this was something that is important information for all of us to see how fast the temperature in the cars can go up if a dog is taken in a car. And so we strongly encourage that all animals stay home and out of the summer heat. And the next slide, please. There are many animals in need of fosters, and this is certainly a good time for families and individuals who are working from home and are homeschooling to consider being a foster for our animal shelter, for pets here at our animal shelter, and for area rescues. Coalition certainly encourages this. And if you can't foster, please consider volunteering in other ways. And there are suggested ways here with a couple of observances that are coming up with national in helping excuse me, if by donating food, you could donate food to action programs for animals, or really to any of our area rescues, or by donating money also to an area rescue. I'm not getting, okay, that's the end. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. There are no questions. No one has their hand up. So let's move on. Thank you so much, Jean. So the next is the chair and board comments. I have nothing to declare today. Thank you. So I'll just move on to, I'll just go down the list here. Mayor Pro Tem Gandara.
Nothing for me, Chair. Just thank you, everybody who takes the time to view, but also staff, Clint and your staff, the board and city staff that that takes time to put everything together for us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Let's see. Let me see. Let me move this up. Okay. I'm just trying to see everybody here. Mr. Ellens? Mr. Ellens, any comments?
You're muted, Commissioner. I think you have to unmute on the computer.
I believe you can press his space bar.
Yeah,
if you speak.
If you hold down your space bar, you can talk.
Mr. Well, okay, we have to move on. So the next person here I see is, oh, wait. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just, I don't have a lot to add at the moment. I've just been appreciative of those. I know we had the public comments that were made earlier, particularly by volunteers giving feedback, and appreciate Mr. Thacker's responses. And I think, it's always good, hopefully, to bring it to the board, but also hopefully there'll be some they'll be more empowered to bring it up with Mr. Thacker and the staff, because I believe he's been pretty responsive and definitely always looking at improving or looking at opportunities to improve, which I've always appreciated of Mr. Thacker and the organization. That they've been open to feedback, especially even from the team. The other thing is I think as we've gotten in further along with the public health emergency, I've been appreciative of all my colleagues in the county and the city with continuing on with the work of making sure everything's functioning, as we've talked, through facilities and everything. The work doesn't stop. And so to each one of you, thank you all for everything you do. And especially you, Mr. Thacker, and your team at the Animal Service Center for continuing on with everything that you all do. So thank you all, and stay safe, everybody.
Beautifully stated, Commissioner Sanchez. Ditto. Next is Councilor Abeyta-Stube.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner. I think you said it better than anyone. I also want to thank the rescues. I know that they've been working kind of overtime during this health emergency, and I've seen lots of friends have quarantine puppies during this time, and I do think it's very good for a lot of different families. I do want to just say that if you are a family with homeschooling and everything, it is going to take up a lot of time and attention, and puppies and dogs do as well. So just make sure, I think it's a great idea to do if you want to add to your family or to foster, but do really to talk about with the whole family and with the kids about the responsibilities that are necessary for fostering and or adopting, and make sure that you can give that time and commitment and care to those animals, because there's going to be a lot going on, and we want to make sure that we're doing our service to those animals well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Abeyta-Stube. That too is very, very words of wisdom. Sounds like beware if you're going to you have kids and puppies and all this stuff going on.
Be very mindful.
Be very mindful. Yes, thank you. Did I miss anybody who's on the board?
Madam Chair, can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Yay.
Yay.
I had a question for Clint.
Oh.
Earlier you said that there are two teams, A and B. And if somebody gets the virus on A, then B comes in. What happens if somebody has the virus on both teams? How do you deal with that?
That will not happen, because we know that COVID stops at 5 feet 11 inches and only lasts for 10 days. It's something that we have not planned for, honestly. If that's the case, then we are going to be calling in volunteers and supervisors and everything else to carry on and to clean. If it was to occur, we're looking at minimum food, water, and shelter at that point to get the animals taken care of, and also basic medical care and medical needs.
All right, thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Commissioner Ellens. If there's nothing else at this time, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Be careful, be safe. Love you all. Adjourned at 11:27. Bye-bye.
Bye.